Hello and welcome everybody to Payoff Pitch Action Network's Major League Baseball sports betting podcast presented by BetMGM. I'm Charlie DiSturco, joined by Sean Zerillo. We're going to dive into this Monday slate. We didn't record yesterday. We're recording a little bit later, but we still have all the bets to give you for this Monday, July 22nd, 13-game slate. Sean, we're going to start with best bets here. Where are you headed?
Early start, 1 p.m. starter, I believe 1:05 p.m. The New York Yankees, think getting a discount at 10 and 20 in their past 30 games, minus 34 run differential. So playing pretty poor baseball at the moment. But I think if you priced this out a bit earlier in the season when they were playing well, you would be getting closer to minus 175. And the Yankees, minus 185 for the first 5 innings, which is where I have it projected. I think you're getting a discount right now with them struggling a little bit. Would bet those up to about minus 175 for the first 5 innings, minus 165 for the full game, just to ensure you still have an edge. Haven't gotten lineups yet, assuming Jose Trevino probably be in for the Yankees after Wells has started the past couple games, both in the afternoon. But, looking at the concerns, obviously the Yankees not playing well. Also, the Rays, the past 30 days, their offense has been so much better. 6th in WRC+, plus, 2nd against lefties. They also hit Rodon pretty hard right before the All-Star break. But after that start, Rodon went out against the Orioles and posted his highest average fastball velocity that he's had since April of 2022. Then he got a week on the shelf, 6 days on the shelf to rest up further after throwing as hard as he had in 2 years. He's probably coming into the start healthier than he has been at any point over the past couple of seasons. Obviously, he was great in 2022, struggled last year, has struggled through parts of this year, been a bit enigmatic. He's had some good starts as well, but the overall season-long line below what you would expect. But his season-long projections, his rest of season projections expect him to be back in that sub-4 type FIP range, 3.8 to 4 on the dot. And as I said, season-high velocity in that last outing, high since April 2022. You look at his Stuff Plus ratings, he's been at 123 on the season. He was at 111 last year, 118 in 2022. The issue has been command, and command is typically the last thing to return after Tommy John surgery. He has this stuff back. He's flashed great stuff all season, and the stuff actually went up a level in that last start. But his location plus ratings over the past 4 years, 97 each of the past 2 seasons, and it was at 103 in 2022 when he was so dominant, 102 in 2021. So I think that velocity level, that bump in that last start is a good indication that his arm is fine, that he's in good shape, and that eventually he's going to turn the corner with his command. So just the projection play, like obviously he hasn't pitched extremely well this season, but there is some signs that he's on the improve. And the Yankees, as I said, to minus 175 for the first 5 innings, minus 165 for the full game. Just think we're getting a discount with them, a little bit of a lull at the moment.
My best bet for this Monday slate, I'm heading out to Cincinnati. I'm heading out to Atlanta, Cincinnati Reds against the Atlanta Braves. And I like the Reds over the first 5 here at plus money. The pitching matchup, Hunter Green, every year I was just waiting for it to click with him. And I feel like this year was finally the year that it's starting to click. A 309 expected ERA, a sub 200 expected batting average as well. He's nearly halved his barrel rate year over year. The biggest issue that always killed him was giving up a few too many home runs. That's come down to earth a ton. His hard hit rate has dropped by double digits this season. The changes that he's made on the mound has made him into one of the better pitchers in the National League. And yes, it's scary to bet on the Reds, who just got beaten up by the Washington Nationals to open up the All-Star break. But this Atlanta Braves offense, I think, is something that you can target a bit, especially Ozzie Albies leaving yesterday's game with, I believe it was a fractured wrist, so he'll miss 8 weeks. So now this bottom of the lineup, the Braves signing Whit Merrifield to try and fix up the back end. There's some weak spots, outside of the top 4 where it goes Kelnick, Riley, Olsen, and Ozuna. That back end has a lot of issues. The OPS numbers have really been down. And you look at the last 30 days, the Braves offense, 27th in WRC plus against right-handed pitching. The Reds, surprisingly, at 7th. Ronaldo Lopez takes the mound for Atlanta. A 4.2 expected ERA versus a 1.88 actual. I was looking at the slate, Sean. The expected ERA numbers expected to actual. This slate has 3 or 4 of the highest differentials of the quote-unquote luckiest pitchers in baseball. Ronaldo Lopez being one of them. A lot of fly balls. The hardest hit rate he's given up, hard hit rate since 2020. He's below average in just about every metric. He's not giving up home runs, which I believe will eventually negatively regress as well with that 87% strand rate. So playing the negative regression game on Ronaldo Lopez, I think it's coming at some point. The Reds offense has been playing much better, especially against righties of late. And Hunter Green, I like his stuff. I like the matchup against this Braves offense that I actually think you can target. So plus 120 over the first 5. I think this should be closer to a coin flip matchup. So I'm backing the Cincinnati Reds here.
Yeah, make it plus 110. So I'd be happy with plus 118 or better. And I also bet the over. Made it 8.3. Took over 8 at even money, but wouldn't go much beyond that. But yeah, I definitely would take the Reds first 5 plus 118 or better.
Yep. The Cincinnati Reds right now, best available 120. So if you want to go out and get that, there is still some of that available in there. But let's move on to fade the public here. We're going to go to LA. The Dodgers, fresh off a Sunday night baseball win and a sweep of the Boston Red Sox. They are welcoming in the San Francisco Giants for Monday night. 10-10 start, 89% of the bets, 99% of the cash on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Zarello, you riding with the public, or are you going against them with Blake Snell on the mound against River and Ryan? That's his name, River Ryan.
Yeah, I took the San Francisco Giants. Was probably one of the first people to bet them because one book had them at plus 132. I took that. It moved down to plus 122 by the time other books started opening up their line. And looking at the best available current odds sitting at plus 112, this may be out of range for both of us, unfortunately. But, you know, it might bounce back by game time. Plenty of time throughout the day for this one to move back up. But I projected the Giants at about plus 107 here. So I'd want about plus 115, plus 117 or better. River Ryan pitched incredibly well in AAA. He had a forearm strain earlier in the year, missed some time in April and May, but came back 6 starts, 122 stuff plus, 106 location plus, 111 pitching plus in AAA. So elite numbers. Big fastball, can touch 99 miles an hour, plus curveball and slider, working on a changeup. So looks like, you know, a potential high-level pitching prospect. The Dodgers are always full with a litany of pitching prospects. And River Ryan looks like one of the better ones of the bunch. But projection systems aren't particularly high on him. They put his projected rest of season FIP range between 4.4 and 4.9. And Blake Snell, I believe, has turned a corner in his 2 starts since returning from the IL. You talked about all of these very lucky pitchers on the season on the slate: Tyler Anderson, Reynaldo Lopez. Well, Blake Snell has a 6.3 ERA, but a 3.6 expected ERA. He has a 319 batting average on balls in play compared to 290 for his career. He also has a 56% strand rate compared to 77% for his career. And he went on the IL, was shaky beforehand. If you remember, he signed late with the Giants, didn't have a spring training, came into the season without taking any sort of minor league warm-up, just threw some simulated games and jumped right into action, and he was bad. And then he ended up going on the IL. Came back, did a minor league rehab stint, and has now posted a 121 stuff plus and a 101 location plus in his past 2 outings through 8 perfect innings or near perfect innings. Prior to those outings, 107 stuff plus, 95 location plus. His velocity has been its 2 highest marks of the season in those past 2 outings as well. So it explains the jump in stuff plus, but also the improvement in command, the most significant factor. The Giants also have the bullpen advantage in this game. So I think they have the pitching advantage throughout. The one thing is that they've struggled against right-handed pitching this season. They're much better against lefties. They have a bunch of right-handed bats who set up well against lefties, but they need a couple more left-handed bats to square off against righties if they're going to crawl their way back into the wild card race. So I'd look for them to potentially add bats at the deadline if they add anything. But yeah, the Giants in terms of this matchup, around plus 107, plus 109 in either half is my projection. So plus 115 or better would be my price target. It's moved down substantially. It was plus 132 at open, was plus 122 all night into the morning. And I guess since, you know, we were prepping for this pod and logged on, it moved down another 10 cents. So it started to push closer to where it should be. But I think given the fact that there's such a discrepancy in terms of the bet percentages, that only tells you where the sharp money is.
Right. Yeah. You mentioned the Dodgers are taking in all the money, yet the Giants line has gone absolutely down and plummeted. And, you know, you encapsulated it perfectly. I think the only things I can add, the Dodgers over the last 30 days against left-handed pitching are actually 25th in WRC plus. The bottom of the lineup is starting to play a little bit better, but guys like Freddie Freeman in particular, if you look at his numbers, lefty versus righty, it's night and day. I've said this before in the podcast. Freeman struggling a lot more against lefties this season, this time around, than the bullpen advantage. I mean, third in xFIP for the Giants, 23rd for the Los Angeles Dodgers, who it was a very, back and forth series that they just had with the Red Sox, and they played Sunday Night Baseball. Now they're home, so they didn't have to travel. But the bullpen, the high leverage arms, the high leverage situations, they all also played in. This could be a good time to just fade them. Also, Evan Phillips, Joe Kelly, Anthony Banda, all pitching on back-to-back days. Yep. So, it's a whole litany of relievers the Dodgers have used over the last 3 days. Basically everybody twice at some point or another. So this could also be a spot where, maybe a better arm struggles a little bit more and the Giants take advantage here. So total agreement with you. Think that the Giants hold the advantage in just about every way here. All right, that's our Fade the Public segment for Monday's baseball slate. That also was my underdog of the day, but Zerillo, you have one underdog in particular, and you're fading the other counterpart of that Sunday Night Baseball series game between the Red Sox and Dodgers. You're taking the Rockies over Boston here.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. The fact that getting the team going off Sunday Night Baseball that had to travel only adds, to my confidence in the Rockies as a solid underdog to back in this spot. Tanner Houck has surpassed his career high in innings pitched. He got hit in the All-Star game, gave up that 3-run bomb to Ohtani, but the first 3 hitters jumped all over him. They were just sitting on that sinker. And he's like the rest of the Red Sox staff, put away his 4-seamer and cutter this year, has gone with sinker splitter, and just excelled to a tremendous degree. Now, his slider is his most common pitch, 42% usage rate, and that is often a pitch that we see pitchers struggle to command at Coors Field. Not to mention the fact that I think he's been declining in his past few starts. He's shown career best command this season. The walk rate is around 5%, which is career low. But as I said, hitting the All-Star game, he gave up 3 walks in the start before that to the A's. The start before that, he had 4 walks against 1 strikeout. It's the only time he's had more walks than strikeouts this season. Start before that, he gave up 8 runs. So he got shelled, then started nibbling, couldn't throw strikes, or was a little bit, careful to throw strikes, and had a career or season high in walks, only had 1 strikeout in that start. And then another start against the A's where he had 3 walks and 6 strikeouts. So I think the command is starting to go a little bit for Tanner Houck. I think surpassing that career high in innings, I think you're going to see a little bit of a second half dip. Now, on the other end of the matchup, the Boston Red Sox have dramatic splits, lefties versus righties. This was not something I realized. They're 9th against righties on the season, 20th against lefties in terms of WRC+. Last 30 days, 1st against righties, 29th against lefties, 131 WRC+ against righties, 72 against lefties. I mean, absolutely massive splits. I don't really have anything to explain that.
Yeah.
Aside from Devers being left-handed and Duran, maybe just the matchups don't work out for them, lefty versus righty, but no team should ever be 1st against righties and 30th against lefties. That just does not compute. And regardless, 9th versus righties, 20th versus lefties, that is a very stark split. They have guys like Ref Snyder on their roster. You would think that they're built to hit lefties, but for whatever reason, they have not this season. So a lot of reasons to back the Rockies. As I said, not only the offensive splits, but also I think Tanner Houck on the decline potentially. I also like the over in this matchup, I should mention too. I projected this is 10.9, so over 10.5 up to about -105. And then also the Rockies on the money line. My projected line, I just want to pull it up so I have it. My projected line is +134. So anything +145 or better on Colorado.
Yeah, I wanted to get there, but Austin Gomber scares the living shit out of me, so I did not end up.
All the Rockies pitchers do. There's not a single name in that Rockies rotation that I'm excited to bet on. Herman Marquez came back, looked good for a few innings against the Mets. But yeah, aside from Herman, I'm not over the moon about betting any of these Rockies pitchers. Felt there a little bit.
I was hoping that he'd get the start, and then I'd be like, oh, man, I could get to the Rockies here, just Herman Marquez. But it is interesting, and I go back to the Dodgers game too. The bullpen, the usage of the bullpens, the Red Sox had to use all their high leverage runs. They blew every save, right? Friday, Saturday, they blew it. Sunday, they got beat up.
Jansen worked back-to-back days for no reason, even though they were down significantly last night. I didn't really understand that. That was a little weird.
He's not traveling to Colorado because of the heart issue. So
okay, that makes sense. Got it.
He's completely out of this entire series. So then you figure you might have to save a high leverage arm for, say, tomorrow, whatever it is, in whatever situation. It's coming off the 3-game, probably also like a mental down. Like, you were coming out of the All-Star break, potential playoff team, and then you get swept by the Dodgers with 2 games that you probably should have won. You end up losing. It could be a good spot. And I agree with you. I think it's Rockies or nothing for me there. But we'll round it out with a couple of final bets on this Monday slate. I'll just wrap up my couple of bets. I do want to say before I leave, so I mentioned the expected ERA difference. The top 4 expected ERA difference. Number 1 is JoJo Romero, reliever. And then number 2, Hogan Harris, playing the Astros tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, Ronaldo Lopez. You heard I like the Reds over the first 5. Number 4, David Peterson. You keep going down the list. I mean, Tyler Anderson's right there. Michael Lorenzen. It's going to be a potential, if it's a negative regression party, we could see plenty of these guys struggle. But my last bet, or bets rather, going out to that Miami game, Yanni Chirinos under 15.5 outs and Pete Alonso to get an RBI. Pete Alonso to get an RBI is one of our highest Action Pro projected edges right now, over an 11% edge right at plus 160, which you can find at BetMGM. He bats in the cleanup spot, gets a good matchup against Yanni Chirinos, who the reason why I'm taking is over, or it's over 5.5 hits, not under 15.5 outs. My bad. I don't hate either, but Yanni Chirinos, 4 of his 5 starts this season, he's given up more than 5.5 hits. The Mets over the last 30 days, 3rd in WRC plus against right-handed pitching. We know how deadly that offense is and can be. Even when they're struggling with like JD Martinez at the plate and Pete Alonso, this team is getting on base. They're doing damage against righties. And most of that struggle from Chirinos comes because he has a horrible sinker that's been teed off on. He's trying to hide it with a increased slider usage, 13% year over year, and basically an introduction of a 4-seam fastball. But he doesn't generate whiffs. He doesn't generate strikeouts. The ball is going to be put in play. I think this is a good spot to fade Chirinos. Back Alonso as well, batting in that cleanup spot ahead of guys like Lindor and Nimmo, who have been on-base machines this entire last month. In the Marlins pen, they've been taxed a bit. They've taken 2 of the 3 from the Mets so far, so I think we could even see a longer leash. So I like fading Chirinos here just from a hits allowed standpoint. I don't know if the Mets will be able to do too much damage, but do like Alonso with the opportunities that he will get. But Sean, round us out. You have a couple of bets on this Monday slate to finish up.
Yeah, 1 over, 1 under. So, Blake Snell getting into his streak where he did last year, where he just started throwing scoreless innings. And I think when you're in form, right? And there's certain guys who get very streaky, and you could tell when they're in or out of form. And right now, I think Blake Snell is in, whereas Ranger Suarez looks out. 4 runs in each of his last 4 outings. One of the first start of those, not all of them were earned, but his scoreless streak ended. I talked about it on the last pod. And the Stuff Plus ratings are down. The pitching plus ratings are. So he was at 84 Stuff Plus, 105 location plus, 102 pitching plus in the 92 innings prior to his last 4 starts. Last 4 starts, 79 Stuff Plus, so down 5 points. 98 location plus, down 7 points. 96 pitching plus, down 6 points. It's a guy who's struggled to stay healthy throughout his career. Health has been up and down. When he's been healthy, he's pitched extremely well. When he's not, he's closer to a league average or below average starter. And right now, the results and the pitch modeling metrics over the past 4 starts say below average starter. So I don't know if he got fatigued. I don't know if he's hurt and hiding it. But regardless, this is not the same Ranger Suarez we saw over the first 2 months of the season. So projected this total at 8.8. I'd bet it to over 8.5 at even money. And then the Cubs under projected this total at 7.6. Wind is blowing in. I think both Tobias Myers and Javier Assad are underrated by projections. Assad is a little bit goofy because he throws modifications of the same pitch. I think he throws 2 different sliders and 2 different sinkers, and he changes grips, so you don't really see it in terms of the pitch tracking data. He has a 3.3 ERA, but a 4.7 expected ERA, a 4.96 bot ERA, just an 87 Stuff Plus figure. I think a lot of these Cubs pitchers are much lower in terms of Stuff Plus than they actually perform on the field. Shota Imanaga, one in particular, just because the pitching models don't pick up his splitter very well. I think it misses stuff with Assad too, just because he's modifying rips and throwing variations of the same pitch. Seth Lugo might be another guy you can fit into that category. Seth Lugo throws like 12 different pitches if you really asked him. And if you really like dug deep into it, he's just constantly changing grips. But it's not something that any pitch tracking is really going to pick up on, because most of them really max out at like 6 or 7 pitches on a pitcher. I've never seen, even Yu Darvish, who everybody knows throws like 9 pitches. I've never seen a pitch tracking system track him for more than 6 or 7 different pitches. So I think Assad is missed by projections, and I think Tobias Myers clearly has pitched better than projections expected him to. You just got to trust the Brewers pitching lab with all these guys they bring up. But weather and the underrated factor of both starters made this total 7.6. So 8 at -105 would be my under wager. And there's a few more totals on the board. There's a bunch of overs that I like. As Charlie hinted, there's a lot of pitchers whose expected ERA is significantly higher than their actual ERA. So not surprising that I'm on about 5 overs and 2 unders for this slate, where normally I'd be on the opposite, 5 unders and 2 overs. That's more of my normal distribution of totals bets, is like 60-40 to over as opposed to under. But today is an over heavy day, and hopefully we see regression for some of these these ruck lighting starting pitchers to date. And we'll see if I end up betting against Tyler Anderson or Reynaldo or any of these guys more specifically. But yeah, a number of pitchers I like to go against on the slate for sure.
Hopefully it's a negative regression party today, and we get to celebrate with a lot of overs. But there you have it for this Monday slate. Don't forget to download the free award-winning Action Network app and leave us that 5-star rating and review wherever you listen to this podcast, and check out the Action Network Discord. There's a link in the episode description of the podcast. We'll be back here tomorrow to look at the Tuesday slate. For Sean Zarillo, I'm Charlie DeSturco. Thanks so much for listening to Payoff Pitch, Action Network's MLB betting podcast presented by BetMGM. Good luck with all your bets, and we'll see you next time.